What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna compare the 2025 Nissan Z Nismo to the FL5 Honda Civic Type-R. Now before I get the comments of people asking why am I comparing a near $70,000 420 horsepower sports car to a 300 horsepower hot hatch that's like under 50 grand. Well, here's the thing, in my honest thoughts, should I replace the Civic Type-R with the Nismo Z? I owned a 370Z years ago. I had a Sport Touring, traded in then for a 2016 Nismo. I loved that car. Civic Type-R I bought 9 months ago. You might be able to figure out where the story is going with that reference, but I traded in my manual Toyota Supra for this Type-R. We had a lot of reasons. However, in that video, I didn't explain one more reason. I also bought the Civic Type-R because possibly, as my wife and I decided to start a family, it'd be nice to have an extra family car. Now that I am around the corner from having a child and being a dad, we're gonna see basically the next 6 months of this year, do I actually use the Civic Type-R as a dad car? Am I actually gonna use the back seats? We will see, I don't quite know. The RS3 is our family car and we plan to use that most of the time. And my thought process with the other reasons why I traded the Supra in for the Civic was the fact that it'd probably be nice to have something extra just in case. So with that said, we'll see how this year goes. And if I find myself never using the back seats, my spare car doesn't need to have back seats. And recently I made a video comparing my Type-R to the performance Nissan Z, which on the used market is the same price. So if you want to see a direct comparison, competitor cars, check that video linked below. But in that video, I did mention that possibly a Nismo Z could be something to replace the Type-R with if I don't need back seats. So let's take a look at the performance specifications for both of these cars. The Nissan Z Nismo is going to feature a 3-liter twin turbocharged 6-cylinder. This V6 makes 420 horsepower with 384 pound-feet of torque. It's only paired to a 9-speed automatic transmission. This is rear-wheel drive, can do 0 to 60 in around 4 seconds, and curb weight is going to be around 3,700 pounds. For the Honda Civic Type-R, this utilizes a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder single turbocharged engine with 315 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. This is only paired to a 6-speed manual with front-wheel drive, and then curb weight on this car is around 3,200 pounds with 0 to 60 time coming in under 5 seconds. And then as we make our way to styling, I definitely have a soft spot for a white car with red accents. As you'll notice, both of these cars have that, even the Gallardo that is white with all the red accents. So I do love this color combo. Civic Type-R does have a really cool hot hatch look with that wide body style for those fender arches, all the gloss black up front. You have functional vents throughout it. A nice set of Brembo brakes as well with satin black on the wheels. You have some black on the side skirt as well as the side mirrors. Has a cool side profile, just a good looking hot hatch. For the Nismo Z, of course, this is a low slung sports car. Very wide front end with the gloss black and red, small little fender flares. And I actually really like the Nissan Nismo stripes that are up on the car. I think it's actually a really cool touch. Got that nice side profile, black wheels, and then this one's gonna get a massive set of brakes with the Akebono brand for the calipers. So both cars honestly look really cool for what they are. Now for the Civic Type-R, this car brand new is gonna be around $47,000. I like these sharp lines, the massive wing on the lift back, the red accents, and then that triple exhaust tip with the black in the diffuser. Nissan Z Nismo starts around $65,000. This one has a nice lip spoiler going all the way from one side to the next. Aggressive rear diffuser with the red and gloss. Dual exhaust as well with your Nismo badge. Now, one thing I am an absolute sucker for not only is red accents, but bucket seats. The Civic Type-R, these are one of my favorite seats I have ever owned in any car. They are massive bolsters, micro suede cloth, and I just love the red accents throughout them. This one's gonna have some basic soft touch plastic for the interior. We have some ambient lighting, more of this micro suede with the red accent, leather steering wheel with red stitching, and then of course we have that aluminum shift knob with more red accents. And then for the Nismo Nissan Z, I will say the interior quality level is about the same with these soft touch plastics. Now for the Nismo, you get these really cool racing seats. These are the Recaro brand. They're gonna have a mixture of the leather as well as Alcantara. You have the perforated Alcantara with the red accents, massive bolsters with the red stitching. These are also one of my most favorite seats in a factory car. Steering wheel is going to get the red stripe, Alcantara, and leather. All manual controls for both of these seats, soft touch plastic, and then just the black micro suede with the synthetic leather. Now sitting inside the Honda Civic Type-R, I will say I really like this interior overall. I'm ultra comfortable in these bucket seats. There's plenty of room. You have a nice style. The multimedia screen I also really think is pretty sweet. You have all this information about the car that can come up, which for me, I think a performance car just is really better with something like this. It is a really cool screen. Of course, the main configuration has all the Honda stuff. This is a really simple unit. I like Honda's overall display. Of course, you're gonna get Apple CarPlay popping up, which is a nice touch as well. For the gauge cluster, you have a cool digital readout with more vitals and things you can take a look at on the right side, and then different drive modes you can configure. You can configure all sorts. You can change the whole design as well. And with the individual mode, you can actually customize a lot. So this car actually has some fancy features that our Audi has: engine tuning, the steering feel, suspension feel, the sounds, rev matches, and the gauge cluster design. So that's actually quite a lot of performance tech in a relatively affordable car. We have your standard controls, and I like how we have the lane assist and the forward pacing for cruise control. And then sitting into the Nissan Z Nismo, like I mentioned, the interior quality is actually about the same. These do feel like the same level of car in terms of that. For the fun stuff, we have analog gauges up above, which is a pretty cool touch for your turbo boost and RPM, battery. Multimedia screen, I don't like as much as Honda's. I think this is a little simple, and there's no cool screen or anything like that. You basically have the physical gauges up above. Gauge cluster, however, looks really cool, especially with the massive tach. You have all your temperatures on the right, G-force meter on the left, tire pressure, boost gauge, and you can also tone this down into the Nissan ones that you're used to seeing. So pretty cool that both of them have pretty similar gauge clusters with an awesome looking sporty screen. Now this one is going to get the nice cruise control, no lane assist it seems. However, we do have the forward pacing, only automatic, so we have the paddle shifters that are GTR inspired, and then just a nice look. Overall, it's still a really cool interior. These seats I also find extremely comfortable for being the buckets. We have drive modes. However, the only thing these drive modes really do is play with the transmission, shifting, and some of these sounds. So this has a fixed steering, a fixed suspension, and no real configurations like the Civic. And then of course, for storage, you're gonna get these extra cubbies behind the seats, which for a two-seater is actually quite nice. And then we have the large trunk in back with a similar lift-back design. Now, while the backseat space does not exist in the Nissan Z, the Type-R's back seats are actually pretty roomy and comfortable. I'm 5'11" sitting here, tons of headroom, and I have plenty of knee room with the driver's seat at my height. Now, as far as family stuff goes, with the car seat in the back, this is actually a lower profile one to fit in the RS3. The RS3 has less space than this, which is kind of funny. However, with that said, this is super practical for rear facing, no big deal if we end up seeing to use it. And then for cargo capacity, the Type-R even gets 24 cubic feet of volume. As you can tell, this has been very roomy, and I've been using this car for the last 6 or 7 months for home projects. So I've actually been able to fit very large boxes from the hardware stores in here to use this for the day-to-day. And of course, you can very easily fold the seats down. Now, for the Nissan Z Nismo, we went to Costco the other day, so it is still quite good for a family shopping trip, at least with only 2 passengers. You only have less than 7 cubic feet of cargo space, but nonetheless, this is still gonna be practical enough for me at least doing a family trip to the grocery store. So driving in the Honda Civic Type-R, I've owned this car, like I said, for 9 months. I have almost 5,000 miles on it. So for me, I've honestly driven it a pretty good amount, given we own 3 cars, we have a weekly press car, my wife works from home, and half the time I work from home. So I've driven this a lot for my lifestyle. Things that I really have enjoyed with this car is the fact that it is so practical. I did a toilet replacement in the house. Those toilets come in a big box. This hatchback could fit it. Then we did a whole vanity replacement in our downstairs bathroom. Giant box once again, heavy box, fit in the back very well. This has about as much space as your typical crossover. So it's been really nice to actually use this for the day-to-day household stuff. I've hauled wood with it. I've literally used this as a utility vehicle. I know that may sound crazy. Some people are gonna say, why don't you buy a truck? Why don't you buy a crossover? My wife and I really like sports cars. We love performance driving. We love these kinds of cars. And our goal, even with a family, is to have fun cars. We will never own a minivan. And when we do buy an SUV, it is gonna be a performance SUV, like an SQ5, an SQ8, a Range Rover. It'll be something that has some power and style, something fun. We just don't like boring cars. And in today's market, honestly, you can get really cool cars for average price point. This car I paid 46 grand out the door with 2,000 miles. For the same price, we can get a barely used Audi SQ5. So when the time comes to get an SUV, maybe when kid number 2's around, you know, an SQ5 might be the replacement to the RS3. In the meantime, the RS3 is practical enough for family stuff. We got the nice car seat that'll actually fit in it. So we can use it for that sort of thing. So with the Type-R, not only is it ultra practical, I find it really comfortable too. These bucket seats, again, one of my favorite seats. I fit so perfect in them. It's an easy car to drive around. It's got a small fuel tank. The range isn't the greatest, but I'm not driving that far every single day. But it's a cheap fill up. It's like 25 bucks to fill this car up. And then with the drive modes, in individual mode, I have the soft suspension with everything else in the fun mode, which makes it to where this is a comfortable daily. It's not abrupt for suspension, which is a good thing for a kid in the back for sure. With that said though, I can drive it like a sports car when I want to. I can put into the R mode, everything tightens up. We have heavy steering, heavy suspension, it's abrupt. This car handles on rails. I love taking the turns with this car. It is an absolute blast to drive. So this has been a car that has surprised me so much. I mean, I can just rip on it through the twisties, drive it like I stole it, and then tone it back down. And it's a daily driver that's practical for the family, for the house, and cheap to own. So moving on to the Nissan Z Nismo edition. Now, to give some more insights as to why I would think about trading in a practical car basically for a low-slung sports car, while this gives up a lot of the practicality and things like that, there is one thing about this that might be controversial that is actually a good thing. It's only an automatic. Now, I'm a manual fan. I've owned manuals since I was 16. I like the feeling, it's fun, they're cool. However, my wife doesn't think the same. I taught her how to drive the manual Supra. She can drive it, does not like it, has zero interest in driving a manual. She's just not comfortable with it and doesn't want to. She likes an automatic where she can just mash the gas and go. So needless to say, she has never driven the Type-R, never plans to. Also, with the other car in the garage, the Gallardo, she has zero interest in driving that alone either. So the RS3 is the only car that my wife drives that we own. With that said, any car that I replace the Type-R with, most likely, honestly, is going to be an automatic. I'm not too keen on getting another manual at this exact moment, just because there's been many times where it'd be nice to have two cars my wife can comfortably drive by herself. So if we got this car to replace the Type-R, if she needs to go do something by herself, she can drive this, no big deal, have fun, obviously it's a fun car, and go do her thing, and I can be home with our kid, and that means I have the RS3 at home at my disposal if I need to go somewhere. With that said, we like fun cars, so how fun is the Nismo? Now, in Sport Plus, the transmission basically is what's more aggressive, and you get some fake sounds. This car is fixed. Everything is the way it is. You can't adjust the steering, the suspension. This thing is just raw hardcore all the time. And as far as performance goes, with 100 more horsepower than the Type-R, this thing is fast. This is on par with the RS3 in terms of speed. This is just a lot of fun to drive. So this is one of those cool low-slung sports cars that you can just rip it. You are really on edge driving this car. The steering is heavy, steering is quick. The brakes are really touchy as well, and they do a great job. And the transmission is really quick in Sport Plus, which again makes me, I don't really care that it's not a manual, because you have those quick shifts, and that is what you want in any performance car, a quick shift, whether it's stick shift or paddle shift. If it's quick and fast, then it is going to be fun. So this car would allow us to have a fun daily driver sports car to take out basically solo. That isn't a Lambo. So at least with this car, while we're going to be sacrificing all the practicality, we make up for that with even more performance than the Type-R. This is faster. This is, I'd say, a similar thrilling level of the Type-R, but this is so much faster to where that does add to the excitement and the thrill of getting a Nismo Z. So this car is sweet. I really have no complaints with a lot of what this car has to offer. You can just whip it around and drive it like a race car, which is what you can do with the Civic. But this is even faster. So this is cool. This is just a fun car. I sound like a broken record. But yeah, Nismo Z is definitely a car worth looking into if you don't need the practicality. All right, so conclusion after driving the Nismo Z alongside the FL5 Civic Type-R, Obviously, not direct competitors at all. What I like about the Nismo though, it is fast, it is fun, it is truly a really well-balanced performance car. Performance is first when it comes to the Nismo Z, which is also something I really like with the Civic Type-R. You can tell this is a performance-focused hot hatch, and it really has a lot of performance for what it is. With the Nissan Z Nismo though, the power, I mean, it's got so much more power. It is rear-wheel drive, so you can tune this up and make this just one fast car. Civic Type-R, I'm not really interested in tuning it because it's front-wheel drive. You can only have so much power up front. So performance-wise, the Nissan has a huge leg up. One drawback, probably my biggest drawback though, is just the pricing. This car's base price is $65,000. This one's MSRP is 70 grand. Now at that price point, you're talking about a brand new BMW M2, which has a very refined, luxurious interior with higher end materials than the Nismo. Similar power figures, manual or automatic, and it actually has back seats that could be good enough if needed. So that is a strong contender too, which is hard to pass up and hard to not notice with the pricing of this car. But with that said, in the next 6 months, I'll see if I never use the back seats, I don't even have to consider back seats as even something on my radar. End of the year, I will see what makes the most sense. If I find myself using the Type-R a lot for family stuff, I might just keep it more long-term. I love the car, I have no complaints with it, so it's not something I'm rushing to try to sell and get into the next car. So who knows, this could be a very long-term car for the channel and for the family. However, if I find myself using the seats from time to time, maybe the M2 is the way to go to keep it in this price range. However, if I never use the back seats, maybe the Nismo Z is the race car that we want for the family that my wife would also enjoy. So comment below, what do you guys think? Would this be the next car after the Type-R if I don't need those back seats? Comment below, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And what do you think in general about a Type-R versus even the Z Performance, which is the same price point? How do these cars compare, and which one are you gonna be buying if they are the same price? And at nearly 70 grand, are you gonna get the Nismo? Or are you gonna maybe go with a BMW M2? That is it for the video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you all in the next video.